Hello.
Hello.
How's everybody?
Wonderful. How are you?
Great, great.
All right, I'm gonna hold this. I have to ask. We're going right for the
Okay.
finale.
Yeah.
I promise to hold it. How did you feel when you read your face?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one because there was no shock to it because I knew it was gonna happen. I knew from before we started shooting the show, like 2 days into me getting the role, I went and met Lauren. She told me the entire arc of Victor's arc, so I knew where it was going. I think what I had hoped for when reading the scene that I knew was coming was that we would find the moment of just like vulnerability because I knew how hard the I knew it was coming, and so I just wanted something right before that that would kind of be a little bit softer. And when I read the scene, I was just so like, oh, this is it. This is more than I could have hoped for
Yeah.
it in the scene. And there is this like sort of moment of like it's almost like an exhale that they have together, you know. And it's a somber moment because of what's just gone on with Francis and everything, but it's also a moment of like, we did it kind of. We did this thing, and then for it to turn into what it turns into, I think it was pretty cool.
I was crying. It was the whole thing.
Oh, good. Well, great.
It's really cool to see you here now for a DC project because I used to do the roundtables all the time for Runaways,
Oh,
and now
okay,
to be
cool.
here for the Penguin is so fun. But you now have two different comic book characters that are completely different from one another
Yeah.
under your belt. And granted, I know Vic was an original character, not a comic book, but for you, how is it to come back to something like New York Comic Con and be here and see all the comic fans get so excited about an original character that you're bringing into Gotham?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's the coolest place to watch any of this stuff at is where the people enjoy it the most, you know. And this is the place. San Diego Comic Con, New York Comic Con. These are the places where people will flock from around the world to come see, to come hear their favorite actors or creatives talk about the thing that they love. And so it's awesome and it's so great. And you can feel the energy, even in the trailer that we watched after the panel. It's just like people love this thing and they're excited about this thing, and I'm excited that they're excited. So it's all fun.
You had some really incredible scenes with Colin in the whole season.
Oh, thanks.
Uh, was it difficult when you were in that to talk to Colin or Oz because all that prosthetic makeup? Would be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it'd be like when the scene's over, are you still talking to Colin or are you talking to Oz? You know?
It would fluctuate sometimes. Sometimes it's us, and like let's not. And it's also sometimes you don't even want to talk to Colin because you're trying to stay in the same mindset
Yeah.
you're trying to stay in, and so honestly, half the time it takes done, and it's like we kind of look at each other like, how do we feel? We give a look, and then we go on our way. And he honestly was so hot in the thing. He was in a tent half the time, so he'd go to his tent, I'd go to my chair, and then we'd come back in and do it, and then run it again, run it again, run it again, go again and again. But it's like, am I talking to Colin? No, I'll talk to him in between like massive different in between takes. It's he and it's me and Oz and just kind of focus more than anything. Yeah.
I'm doubling down on that one too. There's a lot of like pull and pushing between the two characters here. You see times where it seems like maybe he's your mentor, and times maybe he's not. I'm just kind of wondering how did you all kind of build that relationship so that it like jumps off the screen to us.
I think me and Colin got lucky. I think we work in a pretty similar way, um, and I think that he and I just kind of maybe got each other a bit. And so it was a lot of fun getting. I was getting to know Colin at the same time Victor was getting to know Oz. So it's kind of like this organic thing where they meet each other for the first time on camera. And me and Colin had met a few times before we started shooting, but not like a million. We didn't hang out all the time, so it was really getting to know each other and getting closer and getting closer. And over the course of the season, when Victor and Oz are getting closer, so are me and Colin. And so it kind of, life was imitating art or art imitating life, whichever you want. But it was kind of a parallel there. Yeah.
What has it been like going from Marvel to like the gritty DC universe and taking on a completely different role, or do you see similarities between Vic and Alex?
I think they are pretty different. I think they are pretty different people. Are there similarities? How do I feel about going between the two worlds? They're just two different projects entirely. So it's not even necessarily that one's DC and one's Marvel. I mean, they're just very different. Even if, let's say, the exact same plot line had happened on a DC show from the Marvel show, it would have been a completely different show. Anyways, you give the same script to a different person, it's a completely different show, a completely different movie. So I think we're just making totally different projects. I don't even. Sometimes it's hard to even step out and see such big picture of like this is a DC project, this is a Marvel project. you just try to kind of get specific about what's going on between you and Oz, and then the rest you kind of let itself play out. Somebody else who makes more money is qualified to figure out the whole DC of it all. So just kind of try to do what I can do.
Colin mentioned something interesting during the panel. He said that Victor is kind of his conscience of the positive light.
Mm.
But at the same time, Oz is also Victor's kind of like the devil on the shoulder.
Sure.
Can you kind of share that back and forth, that balance?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Victor's got like Colin was saying, some like goodness in him, this kindred spirit. This. I think he's good and at his core, and Oz is definitely on the bad side of things. So it's like, yeah, there is this push and pull. I think ultimately Victor decides, sort of where we are in the season now. Victor decides that he wants to go on this journey, whatever the journey is that we're on. He wants to go on, and he wants to benefit from however they benefit and help. And he wants to be useful. And so I think that at a certain point, coming into episode 5 and 6 and 7, he wants to not be the weak link. He doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to fall short. He wants to show that he's got what it takes to be in this game. And I think that so ultimately, I guess the devil wins.
So a lot of the people in this obviously are from the comics. Your character is not. So what was it like getting to kind of have your own original character be a part of DC World?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was great. It was awesome. I mean, it just felt like, I guess, any other character that except maybe for Alex Wilder, it felt like any other character that I've done in the past, where you just kind of build something, you create something. A lot of it's there on the page from what Lauren and team wrote, but so much of it, yeah, you get to build and you get to create this backstory, and you get to create these dynamics, you get to create little, behaviors that he does that no other characters that I've done have done. So it's really cool, and it's really exciting that it's been received in a positive light.
So I love that this was filmed in New York because Gotham is essentially New York City, but a lot of the times they'll bring in like Chicago or other major
Sure.
cities, and it's not the same. New York is Gotham. When you guys are kind of in New York and you have that grit already part of your set, how does that help you in like imagining New York City as it's Gotham?
I think it's massive. I think it was awesome to get to shoot in New York City for the show. When I found out we were shooting in New York City, I was over the moon, because it's like this is what it feels like when I look at Gotham. I think of the New York City streets, and so to get to shoot it here and to get to feel that, and then you were shooting at 3 a.m. and in a small neighborhood in Brooklyn or something, or in the Bronx. It's like this is what you do so much less imagination. You do. It's easier as an actor. You don't have to pretend and imagine so much. You can just sit back and be like, this is it. We're in the thing, and so that's it's a tremendous help. It's awesome.
So we have a few more episodes left. A couple more.
Yeah.
For Victor, what's the idea of power coming into his mind?
Yeah.
It's creeping in.
Yeah, I think it's
He's got different ideas that he's got going.
Yeah.
For you, for everybody that hasn't seen it, where do you think that's going?
I think it's exciting to him, this idea of power. I think that he doesn't put himself in Oz's shoes, because that's I think too much for him to try. It's overwhelming. I think that he knows I can play a part. I want to help this guy. I like this guy. You know what? He wants to help me. I want to help him. This is what we want to do. Let's go effing do it then. Let's go do this thing. And I think that he knows that if they do a good enough job, and I think he trusts Oz to do a good job, that we can really change the game. We can really be at the top of this game. And so I think it's just exciting. He's like, fuck yeah, let's go do this thing. I think that's kind of the energy.
The whole thing kicks off about him being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Do you find anything kind of metaphorical within that message within his story arc?
Is it metaphorical, being at the wrong place at the wrong time?
Yeah. Do we kind of see how that plays out continuously throughout his arc?
No, I think.
It turns into a measure of like resilience.
Yeah, I think he was at the wrong place at the wrong time at the beginning, and then everything's a result of that. I think everything else is kind of decisions that Victor's making. So I almost don't want to make too many excuses for him, because it's like there's plenty of moments where he could have decided for a different path and he doesn't. And so being on the road that he's on now, it's a decision he made, and everything that comes from here till the end is a decision that he makes. So is it all wrong place, wrong time? I don't think so. I think I think there was one time that it was wrong place, wrong time, and now it's all a result of that.
And what would you label that?
What would I label it?
Yeah, how would you label that then?
How would I label?
What word comes to mind in terms of how you explain that? What word we kind of? Is like perseverance here, or is this
perseverance with Victor?
friend?
I don't know if it's a positive word. That I'm thinking of. I think it's what would I apply to that? To this sort of journey that he's put himself on. It's unfortunate.
Okay.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Can you talk a little bit more about working with Lauren to kind of create Vic's character? For example, like I love the stutter. I think those moments are so good. Is that something you worked in? Is that something that was already written?
That was something that in the few of the auditions that I did a couple auditions that were no stutter, and then all of a sudden they introduced it to me during the auditioning process. Like, we're thinking of him having a stutter. Could you just try it? And I was like, no prep whatsoever. What do you tell you mean just try it? But I did. I did just try it, and I guess it was decent enough that they wanted me to come in and meet Colin after that. And then I did that, and then there was a stutter there as well. And then we started shooting the show, and they got me Mark Winsky. He was my fluency consultant, is the technical term, but he was really just like my dialect coach the entire time, and he has a stutter as well. And so we worked as much as we possibly could at before we started shooting. We had about a month, and we worked for about a month on the stutter, and then I felt more comfortable as we kept working on it as the show continued and progressed, and I think, and so it was something that we were working on throughout the entirety of the show. All the way to the end. He was showing up every single day, and on our off days, we were working for hours trying to get the thing right. And so I think it was just trying to take a good care of it, try to pay attention to it, try to be honest about it, try to not make fun of it. And I think that it plays a huge part in why Oz ends up saving him in the first place. And also maybe one of the reasons why he even stays. He maybe feels a little bit more insecure about his life in general. He sees that Oz doesn't feel that way about his own disability. I'm sure he's insecure, but the way Victor sees it, maybe not, and so then he decides to stay.
It definitely adds this layer of like vulnerability and softness to Victor's character
Oh,
overall.
good.
It just makes you want to kind of cry every time.
Yeah, I think maybe you feel for him, right? I think it's a tough thing to go through life with that, especially if you're trying to sort of seem, Sophia comes in the room, the last thing you want to seem is scared, and you have a stutter, and it's like, it's not that you're scared, it's not that I'm nervous, it's that I'm doing everything I possibly can to not show her so that she doesn't think I'm nervous. If I start stuttering, she's gonna think I'm nervous, and then she's gonna think I'm hiding something. Shit, don't stutter. And so it's just that. So I think it's a little bit of a hurdle for him.